Oh, so this show was the messiest of the messiest. I thought that I was watching VH1. I had no idea that the Men Tell All was such a messy show, but it was, and it was so good. Let's get into it. So we open up with the most memorable moments from the Men Tell All shows, like previous Men Tell All shows. And then we get like this gender reveal and a sonogram on stage. And at that point, I'm just like, what the hell do they have me watching? Like, why did y'all recommend that I watch this show? So right off the bat, Demario was getting on my nerves. Chris Harrison kept on letting him talk. He would not shut him up. He kept on interrupting throughout the Men Tell All segment. And what was he wearing? All the guys had on like really cute suits. It's the hummingbird. I thought it was a raccoon outside my window. Anyway, all of the men had on really nice suits, especially my baby Alex, who did not get to say anything. What was going on there? All the guys looked really, really nice, but Demario had on like this middle school uniform outfit. I swear, I was looking at him, I'm just like, does Demario think that he's going to like picture day in the 3rd grade? What is he wearing? Guys, the penguin! Like, what happened there? He looked so hot and 10 years younger and darker. Wait, were they all in the Bachelor in Paradise? Because a lot of the guys on the show were darker, but back to the penguin. Who was that guy? I kept on like pausing my TV and looking like, Matt, is that you? Penguin, is that you? He has all of this hair now. His face is slimmer. I think that he got more hair and lost weight, so maybe the weight went to his hair. I don't know what happened, but I was very disappointed that this guy didn't show up on Rachel's season because he actually looked good. Oh, then we start with Blake and Waboom. Listen, we didn't care about them then, we don't care about them now. But I will say this, Waboom is a really nice guy, or I'm able to deal with him when he's sober. I told y'all, you guys used to fight me in the comment section, but I told you that dude was lit the entire time he was on the show. It just seemed like he had just downed a bottle of whiskey and just started filming. He was always like, his speech was slurring. He was always waka 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 baboom. He was always doing something weird and wacky, and I think it's because he was drunk the whole time. When he's sober, I can actually deal with him. He was very articulate. He was making sense. I liked him sober. So we quickly get off of Waboom, and then we get into Demario, who I'm telling you, ABC or The Bachelor is going to make him some kind of like superhero villain for this franchise, because Demario got so much airtime on this show. There were people we didn't hear from. We didn't hear from Alex, who we all really wanted to hear from. We didn't hear from Creepy Jack. Ted Bundy. We didn't hear anything from him. And then it was one guy who I did not know who he was. And even Demario was like, who are you? Why are you even talking? Nobody knows who you are. But Demario got so much screen time that it was so annoying. Anyway, Chris goes over to him and they start this whole conversation about the girl that popped in, his girlfriend. And he was just like, first of all, that wasn't my girlfriend. That was just the chick that, you know, she was a side chick, just a girl that I was sleeping with. There are no pictures of her, no proof. And then Chris is just like, but you said that was your girlfriend. He was like, I didn't say it. I don't believe that I said it. And Chris is like, well, that's something that we do have on tape. Ooh, a little Bachelor in Paradise shade. I caught that, Chris. I caught it. You messy. And then Demario is just like, oh, I just slept with her. She wasn't really my girlfriend. And I believe him, right? I think that everything that he was saying is true. I do believe that it was a girl that he was leading on, that he was just having sex with, that he was probably using for housing at certain times or money, and just really using her as a place just to dump his man seed. So I really think that that is the truth of what he was saying. But that also speaks to how much of a trash dude that he is, that he will actually say that about her on national TV. You will actually admit that you were using this woman for whatever resources and sex that she could give you. And you would admit it on national TV to like make yourself innocent of being a cheater. What? Oh, he's so gross. So, while Demario is being a trash dude, Dean jumps in to defend him. And he even has like this nickname for him. He calls him like D-Bo or something like that. D-Ro. D-Ro. He was like, oh no, D-Ro is a really nice guy. He's went through a lot. And I'm like, are you actually defending this trash dude because of that Bachelor in Paradise drama that he brought upon himself? I ain't even trying to get into it. But for Dean to try to defend defend Demario, I was just like, oh, Dean, you are falling from grace. You are falling so quickly, because somebody has sent me something that he said on Instagram where like some girl took a picture of him and he was just like, he went back to white or something, and he was like, this caption is so funny, and Rachel responded, he didn't go back, he was sent back. Blah, 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 blah. He's starting to fall from grace. He's starting to get on my nerves. Now, the Instagram thing was questionable, but nothing bothered me more than the fact that he defended Demario. I'm like, so this is somebody that you're cool with? Like, this is a dude that, like, not only is he cool with him, guys, he's cool with him to the point where he gave him a nickname, D-Row. And he went on this whole diatribe about defending him so much that Waboom was just like, Dean, shut up. And then Dean was getting defensive. And I feel like Dean is like, I feel like he's feeling himself, because every time his name is mentioned, the girls go, ooh, they go all crazy about him. And even I joke about how hot he is on this show, because he is. He's a very attractive guy, and he's even hotter when he's darker, okay? That Bachelor in Paradise tan did him well. But I feel like he's starting to feel himself. You know what I mean? What I was attracted to concerning Dean was the fact that he was very attractive, but he was also, I felt like he was a cute guy who didn't know he was cute. Now Dean is starting to realize that he's cute. You know what I mean? He's starting to realize that he's fine, and he's acting in a certain way, because he was feeling himself at this reunion. He was jumping in, interjecting himself in a conversation, waiting for the crowd to quiet down, acting like he was freaking Peter. That's because he's trying to act like he is the Bachelor. And I'm like, no, it's Peter, because Rachel is going to disappoint us on August 7th. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. She is going to break all of our hearts on August 7th. I have already reconciled myself with the fact that I'm going to be crying on August 7th. I'm fine with that. I realize at this point, Rachel is not me. She's going to pick with the puss. She's not going to pick with the mind and the heart, because it should be Peter, but it seems like she's going to dump him, and I'm really pissed about it. Let me get a drink. Oh, then we get to Kenny and Lee. Why? Chris Harrison, why? They spent so much time on these two, and I felt like this was a show all over again. We were spending an unnecessary amount of time on a subject that should have been a blurb, but turned out to be half of the entire season. And it was just, I don't know, I just felt like it was such a waste of time, because these two a piece, like I think they got like 20 minutes a piece for this 2-hour show. We spent like freaking 40 minutes on Kenny and Lee, and it was so unnecessary. And Chris Harrison calls Kenny up to have a sit down with him. And I was just like, why are we extending this? He already had a conversation with Kenny when he was seated with the rest of the guys. Then he like brings him up and sits him down on stage, and they have this whole one-on-one. And I'm like, we don't care. We do not care. But anyway, he's asking Kenny all of these questions about Lee and the tension in the house. And we all know who Kenny is. Like, we watched the show. We know that he was being antagonized by Lee. It was gross. It was disgusting. Let's move on, because there are several guys on that stage that I want to hear from, but we're spending all this time on a subject that none of us care about. However, I did like that Chris brought out his daughter, Mackenzie. They did this cute little segment about how much Kenny loved his daughter. Y'all know how I feel about that. It's cute, but he is so extra. Anyway, Chris brings out Mackenzie, and I'm telling you, that girl looks just like him. That is his twin. And as soon as he sees her, he starts crying, she starts crying. And I'm just like, any future stepmom that wants to come into this situation, I'm gonna give you some tea. If Mackenzie don't like you, it's not happening. That girl has that man's whole heart. Anyway, the show decides, because it's Kenny's birthday, to give Kenny and Mackenzie a free trip to Disneyland. And I thought that was really, really sweet. And they hugged and embraced. And I really loved that. Aside from the racist mess that they put in this show, I really liked how they showcased Kenny and his love for his daughter. I really felt like that was really good for us to see this juxtaposition of how we have like this southern white dude painting him as this aggressive black man, and then we get to see who he really is and how much of a gentle guy he is and how much his daughter has his heart. To just see a positive image of a black father, I think that was one thing that I was really appreciative of this show, because we don't get to see that, you know what I mean? And especially when we have somebody trying to demean him and put a stereotype upon him. It was really great to see them contrast that storyline with this storyline. So I am thankful that they at least put that in. But again, why are y'all torturing us with this racism segment that you guys did poorly? If I was the Bachelor, I would move on from this, or the Bachelorette, I would move on from this because y'all did not tackle racism properly. But let me tell you something. In this, the men tell all, oh, they are going to try to cure the hell out of racism. They were beating it over our head. They were trying so hard. We'll get into it, but I mean, I was just like, give them an award for at least trying. A for effort. But you still failed. Because we get to Lee, who's like literally shaking in his boots. I swear, he looks so much smaller on the men tell all than he did when he was in the house. Racism shrinks you. We have proof. Look at Yosemite Sam. While Chris is talking to Lee, Demario jumps in, and of course Demario jumps in because trash will always defend trash. Demario aside, we get a sense from the men that they felt what we felt as viewers. They were very uncomfortable with the tension from Kenny and Lee. They did not like how Lee was speaking to Kenny, and they also didn't like how when they were watching the show, Lee presented somebody totally different when the cameras weren't rolling or when they were in the house than who he was presenting himself to be. And so a lot of the men were really hurt, especially a few of the black guys were just like, I was a friend to you. Like, I thought we were making a real friendship. You called me brother. Like, we had some really good times. And then to see you on the show act that way, then to see the tweets and all the things that you do was just really disheartening. And I felt like Josiah and Will were really close to him in the house. And then for them to like watch how Lee acted on the show and then to see all these things come out about him was just really disappointing because they couldn't believe that this was the same Lee that they were becoming really, really good friends with. And Chris invites Lee to get up on stage and sit with him. And I'm just like, we just spent 15 freaking minutes of you yelling questions to him while you were seated and he was over there in his little booster seat. Now you're going to bring him up there on stage. So we're going to lose another 15 to 20 minutes on this subject that we, the viewers, told you we did not give a damn about because we thought that it was force and fake. So while Chris is talking to Lee, Kenny is just interjecting and he's like, oh, well, I didn't think that Lee was racist. Kenny has said like 4 or 5 times throughout this entire show that he didn't think that Lee was racist. And I'm like, thank you very much, Kenny. But we, the viewers, will be the judge of that, not you. Thank you so much, sir. Have a seat. Side note, there was a ton of cussing on this show. I'm just shocked that ABC is doing this. I would have never thought that I would see some of the raunchy mess and the cussing and all of this stuff that I'm seeing on ABC. Maybe I haven't watched this channel in a long time, but girl, times is a-changing. Of course, Yosemite Sam is remorseful now and deeply apologetic, and he's so sorry. He didn't mean those things. That really wasn't who he was. Of course you're sorry. Public outrage will do that to an idiot. It'll make you remorseful. It'll make you feel bad for the things that you said and the things that you did. All of a sudden, the entire world is seeing who you really are, and it's disgusting. And it doesn't sit with the rest of the world like it probably sits with your small community. So now you're remorseful. And then Dean, this pissed him off because, you know, Dean doesn't like racism. Unless he's doing it. I had to put a little bit of shade in there. Anyway, he was really upset with Lee and he was like going off on him. It was actually kind of sexy. He was going off on him and he was just like, you're not remorseful. The problem is you just got caught doing what you were doing. Now all of a sudden you feel bad, but you had time in the house. When those tweets were released, you never said anything. You never condemned your tweets. Then this messy show brings up Lee's tweets. So little Lee Little Lee is sitting there in this chair just sinking and this huge, like on a freaking jumbotron behind his head. Chris Harrison brings up his tweets and he's just like, you said feminists were ugly. You compared the NAACP to the KKK. What do you think, Lee? And I'm just like, oh my God. I felt bad. I did. I was just like, I would be so embarrassed. That even made me, I'm like, let me check my tweets. They're like, I don't tweet racist things, but I have said something shady about a celebrity or two. So I was just like, I would be so embarrassed if this happened to me. You know what I mean? If somebody like put my tweets up, I would be like embarrassed, but I probably wouldn't feel bad because I'm not a racist demon like Lee. Then it gets good because although I'm sick of this whole racism talk, I did like the fact that Josiah came up there and actually sat down and spoke to Lee because apparently they were all really good friends in the house. So Josiah sat down with Lee. He talked to him about the NAACP and what it meant to the black community and people of color, period. And he says to him, why would you compare the NAACP to the KKK? Like, why would you say something about an organization that means so much to people of color? Like, I considered you my friend. You never treated me like that. Like, what is going on with you? Why would you say those things? And then Lee is like shaking in his boots, you know, and he's trying to apologize. And then Josiah asked the question that we all want to know the answer to. Why in the hell would you come on a show where the Bachelorette is a black woman knowing you have those views about black people? Like, why would you even come on a show like that? To be quite honest with you, why would he even come on a show with a woman if he has problems with like a lot of his tweets are misogynistic and racist, so it just didn't make any sense for him to be on the show at all. And he's up there freaking out, and Lee is feeling some sort of way. He feels really bad because him and Josiah got close, and he like finally apologizes later on, but it took forever. It took everybody trying to pull it out of him. Then Demario sees his spotlight. He decides to jump up and he goes off about the NAACP, and he says all these great things, right? And they were great. He got the audience applause. He got the reaction that he needed. However, although I agreed with what Demario said, I did not agree with how he was doing it, because I felt like Demario only mentioned that because he just wanted some camera time. That's who he is. Demario came out to LA to be famous. He's worked a ton of jobs, trying to be an actor, trying to be this. It didn't work out, so he became like a reality TV star, and that's probably what he's going to be for the next few years if he works it right, because apparently he's becoming like an ABC reality TV star darling. So it's going to work out well for him. So that's probably why he decided that I need to take this moment away from Josiah, who was getting a lot of really good attention. He decided to jump up and make all these comments, and it was just like, dude, sit down, because you're not doing it in the right spirit. Back to commercial, and we come back and Lee is still sitting in the hot seat. I'm like, for the love of God, please end this segment. We are over it. There have been like 3 commercial breaks and we have still been on this Bachelorette racism scandal. Anyway, Chris Harrison keeps on reading Lee's racist tweets. The men in the house, specifically the black men, keep on saying like, did you mean it? Are you a racist? And I'm like, dude, do you really think that he's going to say that he is a racist on national TV? It's not happening. So finally, after all of this Negro pressure, Lee finally admits that his tweets were racist. He didn't mean to say that. It was a tweet that was cut off. That wasn't what he meant. Blah, 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 blah. Lee has not changed, but the Bachelorette think that it has cured the land of racism. So, you know, bravo for you guys for patting yourselves on the back and thinking that you did something great when really you just tired the hell out of your audience over this subject that we all knew you were not going to tackle properly. The first black Bachelorette should not have had to deal with this. And honestly, the first black Bachelorette viewers should not have to deal with this. We are a dedicated audience and we should have been treated properly, and we were not. Do better, ABC. Do better. Now that the Bachelorette has finally cured America of its racism, we move on to Dean. We finally get him in the hot seat. And, you know, he's basically saying the same thing that we all knew that he would talk about. He was saying that he just didn't understand why she would tell him that she loved him and 4 days later, like, send him home packing. He didn't understand that. He's still a little butthurt from that. But on the positive side, I am happy to know that him and his family is moving in a good direction, because he never really talked this much about his, like, this positive about his family. He was really talking good about his dad and about how they hadn't seen each other, but he thought that it was very important for someone who he was about to propose to. You would have got a proposal if you kept Dean, Rachel. Somebody who he was about to propose to, he thought that it was very important that they meet his family, and he was glad that he opened up to the world, like opened up his family to the world. And he was saying that it was his family's journey as well. They decided to do it. So I really like this segment with Dean concerning his family, because I was really concerned, because the way they ended off with the family on the show, we didn't know like what happened. It was, they ended on a really bad note. So to see that they're in a good place now, that really warmed my heart. Then our girl Rachel finally comes out to meet the men, and she walks out on stage, weave flowing in a DIY dress. Sis, what the hell? Rachel, what happened to the beautiful gowns, the gorgeous gowns, that hologram dress you were wearing, then that black dress with the gold bedazzled neck? Where are all those dresses? What is going on with your stylist? But she changed up on them eyelashes. Somebody's watching my reviews. Rachel is walking out. She finally gets seated, and a lot of the guys are really excited to see her. but Dean does not move. Like, he is so stoic when she walks out. So I'm like, oh, there's probably still some feelings there. So while Chris is trying to talk to her, he's like, you know what, Dean, let's get up here. And Dean basically says to her the thing that he just said to Chris, like, why did you say that you love me? And, you know, as soon as I told you that I'm falling in love with you, you send me home packing. Like, why even say those things to me? Basically, why lead me on if you knew that you were sending me home? Rachel, to me, never really answered that. She would just keep on saying, well, it was real. It was real. It was real. Girl, to be quite honest with you, I don't know if this is real. Like, I'm trying to be all in it for Rachel in this whole journey, but it just seems like, to think that you can fall in love in a matter of 8 weeks and you're like kissing these people and saying that you love them in like 2 or 3 days, it just doesn't seem realistic to me. So I'm guessing for Dean, I feel like he was really falling, and he kind of sensed that Rachel wasn't. She was kind of playing the game, and I'll talk about that probably in another review. I think I'll probably talk about this in probably on Monday. I'll probably put up a small little Bachelor my thoughts review, because I feel like we're getting scammed by some people in this show, and I think I'll actually put that up before I actually put up my Bachelorette review during the season finale. So I may put it up Sunday or Monday, but look out for that. Then we're back on race again. You know what? This show just needs to go back to having all white bachelors and bachelorettes, because let me tell you something. I am a black person and I am exhausted by the race talk on this show. I feel like maybe they were trying to do something good and it just got away from them, because race is tricky. Like, we don't even talk about race correctly in this nation. So how in the hell did you think that this reality TV show about love was going to fix that? Oh, I'm so exhausted. Like, I can't. I honestly feel bad for Rachel, because no other Bachelorette has had to deal with as much as she had to deal with. Like, she had to deal with the competition on its own. Dating all these guys, trying to find a husband, trying to get one of them to propose to you. All of that work. Then on top of it, she has to deal with racism, because Chris asked her, how does it feel being the first black Bachelorette? And Rachel does this joke that all black people do when we're uncomfortable. I'm black? Oh my gosh, I had no idea. We all do it. It's just really because we're uncomfortable with talking about race to a non-black person. Tell the truth and shame the devil. That's what it is. Especially white people. Like, when we get in those conversations, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm black. Who would have thought? We're all one. God is love. I want to get out of here. That's exactly what it's like. So I understood that whole I'm black comment from Rachel, because it was uncomfortable for her to talk about this, you know, to Chris and to the rest of the world. She's like, I want here to find love. And I think I should be given the same chance as every other Bachelorette. And I honestly agree with her. Just like that, I'm disagreeing with her, because then we get on the subject of Kenny and Lee, and Rachel is talking about how she didn't like how Kenny handled the Lee situation. I'm just like, excuse me, sis, you be stuck in a house for 8 or so weeks with a bite-sized racist and tell me how you're going to react. Like, Kenny, I think he dealt with as much as he could possibly deal with before he actually broke, and then you weren't helping with believing Yosemite Sam. Like, every lie he said about Kenny, you believed him, so he was already stressed from that. Then he was missing his child. How dare you tell him how he should and should not deal with racism? She brings up Matt and Adam. And wait, did we get the dummy this episode? Because I was looking for the dummy. I've been missing the dummy for these past few episodes. Rachel says that she chose them, or she brought them along for that long in the show because she actually really had a connection with them, because Adam was just like, Matt was just like, it was either Matt or Adam, but one of them was just like, people kept on saying, like, why did she bring you all the way to the end? And then Matt was just saying, nobody really knew who I was. Like, everybody was just like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And then he said something really kind about Rachel. I wasn't really listening to anything that he said because I could not believe how attractive he looked. Guys, he looked so much younger. And I felt like he switched cultures. Like, I was just like, who is this man? Who is this Dominican man standing before me? Like, it was just so weird. I don't know if it's makeup or hair. I don't know what it is, but ooh, he got the Hollywood job, work, plastic surgery, whatever. Maybe he went to visit the doctors of Botch, but that dude looked good. And that chocolate Donnie Simpson Fred addresses Rachel, and as soon as he addresses her, she says, Frederick. Like, what the hell happened between Rachel and Fred? Because she has very strong negative feelings about him. She never gave him a chance, and even when she's seeing him, she calls him Frederick, and he's like, oh, it's Fred. She's like, oh, I know you as Frederick. I'm like, what did he do at this summer camp? Guys, please, can somebody find information on like Fred in this summer camp that he tortured Rachel at? Because she has very strong feelings about Fred from this summer camp. Did he kill a counselor? Did he, torment her? Did he cut off one of her ponytails? Did he piss in her fruit punch? What happened, Rachel? Please tell us, because clearly you don't like Fred. Fred addresses her, and he's just like, you never really gave me a chance. She didn't. Then he says, I was really there for you. I have had a crush on you since I was a kid, and I was one of the one true men in that house who was there for you, and you never really gave me a chance, and that's unfortunate for you, but I'm happy for you. And I'm like, you guys have a really weird relationship. I don't know what happened, but I would really love to know that insider tea. Basically where it ends. It really ends with like the bloopers. We get like these really fun bloopers of everybody. One blooper that really stuck out to me was Dean with the gum. I'm about to vomit on myself just talking about it. He takes gum out of his mouth, puts it behind his ear, then he puts it in his mouth and chews it, and then swallows it. I was like, ooh, you 25, Dean, you 25. And then Rachel says this, and I feel like I kind of like this side of her because that's who she really is. But she takes a bag of chips and she starts eating them, and she's like, these chips are salty, like Josiah on his way home tonight. Oh, Rachel. See that, Rachel? We can hang. Speaking of the bloopers, I really thought that was an important part of this show, at least for me, because I really got to see what Rachel saw in some of the men that we really didn't get to see her with on this show because they spent so much time on Kenny and Lee or curing racism. So for me, the bloopers were very, very important. I didn't know how important they were until I actually started watching them because I was going to turn off my TV, but I was just like, let me just see the rest of this. And I really liked that I saw some really fun moments between the guys, and the guys were having a really, really good time. For me, that said a lot about who they are, and just seeing them in this light outside of the little clips that we get of them on the show. I have to apologize to the men of the show and really take back the comments that I said about them concerning the fact that I just didn't think that they were a good batch of guys, that the casting could have did a bit better. Because watching this, like watching the men tell all, and I guess really seeing them in a different light and seeing them in hair and makeup just really changed my perception of the men. And I really do think that Rachel did get a good batch of guys, that she that out of the batch of men that she had to choose from, I think she chose the top, but I think she did have a good group of men. And I look forward to seeing them in this Bachelor world, right? Because once you're like on this show, like they pull you into different things. I hope so. I would love to see one of these guys be the Bachelor, any one of the guys aside from Jack and Lee. I wouldn't have a problem with seeing any of the other guys being bachelors. I think they are, I think it's a good batch of men, and I wouldn't mind following their journey, which will probably actually happen because a lot of these dudes were hella tan and hella dark on this show. So that lets me know that they're going to be on Bachelor in Paradise, and I'm excited to see their journey, especially coming from these bloopers. I like them. I really like a lot of them now, and I really want to see them find love or, just be fun and comical and messy on The Bachelor in Paradise. So I'm excited to review it, and I'm excited to see their journey. That's basically where it ends. It really just wraps up with Josiah comparing Rachel to OJ, and then the guys are like clowning him, and they're just like, so Rachel's OJ? And then Chris Harrison is like, well, that's enough for tonight. And so the show pretty much ends there. But it was a really good show. It was a lot of fun. I really, really like these guys, and I want to see more of them. And it sucks that this season was taken from them because of this Kenny and Lee drama. And I don't know. It was very unfortunate because I really liked a lot more of these guys than I did on the show during the Men Tell All. And for me, I just felt cheated that I didn't get to see more of them than I did of Kenny and Lee. Like, it was just, I don't know. I felt like we were taken away from the real essence of what this show can be or has been before we got a Black Bachelorette. And that was just really unfortunate. So that's where it ends, and I will see you next week for the season finale of The Bachelorette. Guys, we've come so far, and now it's coming to an end. I'm on the... This hair, I'm changing it up next week. I'm on the West Coast, so a lot of you are probably going to see the finale before I do. But if you're still up, when I watch the finale after the end, I am going to go live on Instagram and just probably film my reaction and just take a couple questions after I see the finale. I'm on West Coast time, so when it's 8 o'clock for me, I think it's 11 o'clock for you guys. So if you're still up, come join me on my Instagram right after the season finale. My Instagram is Nikki Nicole Star. That is Nikki Nicole Star or at Nikki Nicole Star. So if you want to chat with me or just cry with me on Instagram, please come see me over there, because as soon as it ends, maybe a few minutes before the end, I'm going to go live on my Instagram and just start dialoguing with you guys before we get to the finale where she picks Brian and I cry into my pillow until I review the show the following morning. Anyway, if you like what you see here, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next week for the season finale of The Bachelorette. Bye, guys.